Okay, good morning everyone, and we have finished module 1 and module 2, which is related to your HTML, CSS, advanced CSS, HTML5. Now we are going to learn about the JavaScript language. Why we have to learn JavaScript? First of all, whenever so far what you have created the website with HTML tables, forms, right? Submit button, just styling the color, design, whatever, so on. But when you create the form, right, and you are asking someone to enter the username, if they won't enter the username and click on submit, what will happen in that case? That means you will be not able to find out who has entered the data. And most of the website, whenever you do the like sign up, sign in, including your filling the form, this everything will be considered for the validation. That means it has to check when the user is entering any data in any kind of form is there, then it should check that yes, he has entered the email ID or he has entered the data or not, then only it is going to submit. Simple way, the validation. That means you are going to validate and then you are going to submit to the server. Therefore, we have to use JavaScript for the several things. Well, for example, validation. Others are like use the image slider. There are so many things are there. That purpose we use JavaScripting. And then one version is there now actually on portal people uses jQuery, Java query. So if you know a basic of even Java programming language, the same concept is going to be implemented over there, but the way you are going to write, that will be little bit difference will be there. What we are going to learn in this, we'll be learning about the JavaScript fundamentals. Then what that means, where does JavaScript go? Then what are the variables and data types we have, which we have already learned, and the same thing will be here also. Then how you will get the JavaScript output. What is the conditional statements? You know that already conditional statement in Java. Same way here you are going to learn. Then loops, you know very well, like for, while, do while, and here we'll be using for each also. Next you will be learning about arrays, and next you will be learning about objects, how to create the objects in JavaScript. Then you will be learning about functions. You will be learning at the end the summary of overall. That means what we have learned. These are the things we are going to do into the module 3. Let's start now. Okay, the first one. What is JavaScript and what can it do? Okay, as I mentioned that this is that means you are going to do the validation. Where validation will happen? That means validation will always happen at the client side. This is also called as client side scripting. That means the user is going to enter the data and they are going to submit. This is that's why it is called as client side scripting. The example you can see over here, same, it's very simple. Some users, okay, you are going to browse some page. That means you are opening any web page. There is the vacation.html. What happen? It will go to the server. Okay, in the server it will check the condition, and if you have JavaScript, you can see that in the vacation.html we have the JavaScript, and again it will execute any JavaScript as required to the browser. Whatever the way you have designed and how you want output, the client side it will be visible. That is actually your this is how actually JavaScript works. When it was introduced, you know very well that this JavaScript was introduced by a Netscape company in their Navigator browser when it was in 1996. So they use something called Navigator browser, and in the browser they used this JavaScript for the development. JavaScript that is supported by your browser contains language features. That means it will support, and today, early days, very few browser it was supporting. That means we can talk about some 20 years ago or 25 years ago. But now most of the browser, every browser will support this language features. And this is not included in the current ECMA script specification. So this is the organization. They will be having some specification, and it will be missing certain language feature from that specification. And thereafter, what happened? The latest version of EMCA script is the 6th edition, and generally we referred as a ES6 or ES 2015. This is the latest which supports into the browser. This is just the organization. And whenever starting phase, when they develop, as we have seen that in earlier, whenever any new programming language get developed, then they have to follow certain standards, right? You have seen C++ like ANSI, right? And okay, the same way it is here. Like when the JavaScript is going to be support to the browsers, it should contain the language features. But when the starting days, what happened? It was not included into the EMCA script. Actually, it's for language standard by EMCA International. Okay, and this standard will mean that to ensure that your web page across the different web browser supports the JavaScript. And ES 2005, ES6, and now actually even the document, the recent document will be your EMCA 262. What is JavaScript? Same way. So early JavaScript only had few common users. What are the few common users we had? We will see that also. And 2000 onwards, we saw more sophisticated users were using the JavaScript, because early days when the first website was developed, even early, if you find out very old website early of like 2000 before, then you will see that it will be very simple, like just some color, some design, that's all, not more than that, no other functionality like which includes the JavaScript on the web browser. And that's what where we stand, that is called as web 2.0, actually 2.0, but in the industry they will call as web 2.0. Then Ajax also came, that is, this is the acronym and general term for the Ajax. Okay, so this Ajax also helped to the same way for the as a place of JavaScript, and it's give you that like the web development techniques will be using like the client side to create a synchronous web application. That is the end benefit of Ajax. And it is the, if you want full form, then it's the nothing, it's asynchronous JavaScript and XML. That was the, and it has used into the in up to 2000. We'll talk more and later in chapter 10 and 19 we'll cover your Ajax topic. That is the separate again discussion will be there. Okay, now you can see that, right? So when you have the like the use to create browser extension, right? You have seen if you open your Google Chrome or Mozilla, you will see that so many extensions are there, add-ons are there. What is those add-ons? Those add-ons are built on JavaScript only, built on jQuery, built on your like whenever suppose you are watching YouTube, right, and you want to block the ads, right? There are several add-ons are there, several browser extensions are there. In that you are going to use the JavaScript. The scripting language within the other non-browser application also you are going to use, and JavaScript is become now language for the IoT also. In IoT also you are going to use, like in the your any electronics device, even you can use in whatever the IoT based device you are using, there also you can implement. You can use the JavaScript also in the desktop like application that run within the browser. What does it mean? That suppose you want to open the command prompt, okay, in the browser, like it happen only on the server side. That means server will be giving you the features to access remote access of your computer, like RDP connection, remote desktop connection. Okay, so RDP if you want, then you are going to use there also the JavaScript will be embedded. If you are going to use query language, there also in that non-relational database is there, server side development and several other programming languages are there in which the JavaScript is implemented. So there are several area where the JavaScript has been implemented. There is not like only we write the code for the validation purpose. We have the several area where you are going to add the JavaScript. Even your mobile application, right? Even your smartwatches, right? Your take example, your even your fridge, right? Everywhere you know that Java is implemented. When you come to the IoT, when you come to the advanced platform, how it's going to sense your heartbeat or your blood circulation that from the smartwatch. How it happened? Obviously there is a code, right? And that all everywhere it is implemented there. Okay, next. Where does JavaScript go? That means how you are going to use that. There is one is there that is called as inline JavaScript. That means same way how we have learned about the CSS, like how you can embed the CSS external, embedded, and inline also. Same way here you have inline JavaScript. The inline JavaScript refers to participate or into the web application, and it is the practice to include JavaScript directly within the certain HTML attribute. You can directly include, but only to the certain HTML attribute, not in all, right? Then how you can embed this? To embed this, you have to use, like you can see here, I am using anchor tag. I am giving the hyper reference, right? When you use the hyper reference, I have given here JavaScript colon open window, and you can see that how we have written the same way in programming. We write JavaScript colon open window, give the method symbol, semicolon, it gets terminated, right? Like this way we have to embed our JavaScript only to the certain element, not in all. And if you give more info, the moment you click more info, the window will get open, right? Next, you can embed into button. You have seen that, right? When you are submitting any button on any website, it will give you alert. Are you sure you want to submit this data? Then you will say yes. Then it will taken to the next level. And you have seen on the VTU portal, when you are filling the application, that is the exam application form, it will ask you that yes, are you want to submit. That is nothing, it's happened with the help of JavaScript, and it will be added into the input type, that is the button. So input type button, on click, the moment you click on the button, it will give you the alert, are you sure? That means if yes, it will get added. It will proceed next. How you can embed the JavaScript, the second method, that is the first inline. Next is embed JavaScript. The embedded JavaScript refers to participating into the web application only, and it will give you the practice of placing JavaScript code within the script element. That means you are going to write code for the script, as we have seen into the CSS. We will writing about the style, right? And then we will write. Same way here also you are going to do that. You will be using here as a script element, and in that you are going to explain this. How you can do that? So the syntax is here. The syntax is, you are going to use a script, that is the tag script type. Type should be always the same way, that is text or JavaScript, and whatever you want you can write within the this. This is your area where you have to write the code. Example, I am giving alert hello world. It will give the alert when the website get opened. This is the way you can embed the JavaScript in your HTML. Next, you have about external JavaScript. The same way, the external JavaScript files typically contain function definition, data definition, and the entire framework, whatever you are going to define. And you have to embed this into your HTML inside the head tag. Remember always, whichever the JavaScript you are going to embed, then that should be always before closing the head tag. It should not define after the closing head tag. It always should be before closing the heading tag, head tag. Then how you can write the same way, a script type, text or JavaScript. Here you are going to change the src, that means source, where you have kept the your JavaScript. And what is the file name? File name we have created as a greetings or greeting welcome.js, whatever the name you can define, but the extension will be here .js should be the extension for the writing the JavaScript. So you will create a separate JavaScript file. Okay, write the code, save this file into .js format, and the moment you save, you can use anywhere, wherever you need according to your requirement. This is the three way you can use the JavaScript in your programming. Now, users without JavaScript, like web crawler. What is the web crawler? It is actually used by the Google. Okay, then you'll be using browser plugin. That means you have not writing the code and executing, it is already embedded in that, and it is going to be, so that's why we mentioned that users without JavaScript. That means we are not running from our machine, it's already added, like browser plugins, web crawler. What is the web crawler? That means whenever you develop any website and when you put into the Google, that means when you are upload on the server, when you upload on the server, then how Google will know that you have created a new website and you have uploaded it. We don't know, right? How Google will know that? You are not going to tell to Google, hey Google, you will fill the form. I have created a website. Please put it in the Google search. No, it's all automated system where once you create the website, there is a certain method. So what happened? The web crawler will be there. That is called as bots. Google having the bots. What happened? They will send the bots to the entire globe server, internet, to the internet. On the internet, there are so many servers are there. Okay, so many servers are there. Okay, so what happened? This again, it will get the bot will get splitted in all the servers. Again in the server, maybe thousands of website will be there. It will go all thousand website search when you are searching www.example.com. Where it is that it will search, it will bring again back to the internet into the Google search, and then you'll be able to see the result. And the moment as per like rules by the Google, and Google keep changing their algorithms for the user benefit. So once you keep hitting more, your it matches with the Google term and condition, your website will keep coming on the top ranking. That is the it will be help into the web crawler. And browser plugins already you are using, like ad blocker, something like that. You want to remember the password, even you can, for that we use plugin. Like that way you can use some text based client. You using some tools where the JavaScript will be there. Then for the visually disabled client also it will be there. And no script tag also. These are the place where users can be without JavaScript, because we are not writing the code. The code is already exists there. We are just executing that. That's it. Next, variables and data types. What are the variables and what are the data types? Variables in JavaScript are dynamically typed. That means you know very well, obviously variables is dynamically only, because it's all depend on the users. It's a value which is going to be changed according to the users. That is variable. That's why it is called as dynamically typed. It can be changed dynamically. This simplify variable declaration, and since we do not require the familiar data type identifiers, instead of that, like if you remember in C, C++, Java, you used to write, right, int, and you are writing a, right? That means it is the integer variable. But how long we will be keep remembering this is the integer, float, characters, so on. Therefore, in Java, they change like that. Whenever you want to create any variable, you have to use the keyword as a var. Var means variable. Then the variable will be there, and you can use the create the new variables. Let's see the examples of variable declaration and how you can assign that. The example is here. If you want to define a variable ABC, I am writing var ABC semicolon, same way. The var is you're going to be fixed, it will not change. It will never change, it's the same, it will be there. It means it is defining a variable named ABC. What is the ABC? Each line of JavaScript should be terminated, and you have to give the semicolon. You know very well, semicolon, that means termination. And ABC will define your value name. You can change, it gets changed. Next, if you want to do the initialization to 0, that also you can do. Variable definition is equal to 0. And you can define, that means the variable we have, it's a definition def variable, which value is assigned to 0. Next, the moment next line, if you are writing simply like def is equal to 4, but you can see here we have not defined here, that is var, but it will take now variable definition. Now def is assigned to the 4, and you can notice there we have used here some white space. Here also we have used some white space, right? If you are giving white space, then white space is not important. It will not take the white space. It's not a matter. Here, just to write, even if you give a space of 4, it will be 4 1. The next way, suppose if you want to define the character, you can see that you are writing def is equal to, and next line I am writing within the inverted comma hello, and then I am giving semicolon. The same way here, it is going to assign the definition hello, and you can see that you can write the multiple lines also. That is not going to matter here. But why people write in a line is easy to remember or define. Yes, for this way we have used our definition for the particular variable. This is the way. So simple. It's same as the place of your int, we are replacing to the var syntax. So you will always remember that yes, var means variable. You know very well about the data type. Okay, what are the data type we have? Okay, let's proceed. Okay, on JavaScript, you will be having two types basically. That is the reference type, and another is the primitive types. You know very well about the primitive type and reference type. Reference type here you will be referred to you as this object, you are going to use as an object, and primitive types you know that it is built-in type. Okay, and primitive types represent simple forms of data. That means you know very well in primitive type that is the fixed constant, it is already defined. What are those? Like booleans, numbers, strings, right? A string, this and all are the in primitive type. Okay, and when you talk about the reference type, it means how you are going to reference the value to the with the primitive type. Okay, like you can see here, I am using a reference ABC, defining this. So this here you have primitive type you are using. This is the your primitive types variable. Here you are using a variable with the foo, right? And here what you are doing? You are using reference. That means you are creating array object. So foo is what? Object. So foo of 0 is 45, foo of 1 is 35, foo of 2 is 25. This is the reference type. That means foo of 0 will be referencing to the 45. Next, when you define like variable xyz is equal to def, variable bar is equal to foo. So these two new variables differs in important ways. Okay, we'll see here below, you can see there. And as I mentioned, like bar of 0 is equal to 200. That means that it changes the value of the first element of array. When you define like this way ABC, that means what will happen? It will define variable and this is stored into the memory representation. When you use the definition value, that means it is storing like this way. When you use xyz, it's simply it is going to store. But when you create foo, what will happen? And bar, you can see the two different things. We have used the reference variable. So what happened? It will refer to the memory location because we are creating array. So it cannot be like here only. It will refer to the foo object and it will store into the array type like this way. And you can store. This is the actually your reference type you can define. As I mentioned, foo of 0 is 45 now, right? And bar of 0, 200, right? With the same value. So this is also referencing to the same, but here you have defined the bar of 0 is equal to 200. Like this you can create the object instance. Next, about the JavaScript output. The moment you write alert hello world, you will be able to see the output, okay, on the browser. You can write in another way. in the JavaScript variable name is equal to JavaScript document.write and so we'll open our file. Okay, same way, let's see that just alert in HTML how you are going to use. Okay, same thing, take the example, and as of now we'll just take our same code and copy it till here, create new file, save it, the same, change the type to the HTML only. I'll give my JS dot HTML. I'm not writing the external JavaScript. Okay, we are just going to give a alert. There are a different way, whichever you want you can use it. Okay, title I'll give here as a JavaScript. I'll close the heading tag first. I'll close the HTML. I need a body tag. Okay, that's all. This is the very basic code which you have to use. If anyone is new today, then please use this into the basic code you have to use. Okay, now as I mentioned, right, I want, if you want like someone click on the button and then it's give you the result, right, then what you have to do, that actually you are going to give an event on the screen. Then I will write here something heading 2 tag. Let's close first. In heading 2 will mention anything JavaScript alert. Okay, then I will give a button, where a button will get clicked, you know very well. This features is in HTML5. I'll create button. Okay, and in button what functionality you are going to give. So yeah, I will be giving here on click. Okay, on click event, what happened, you have to call some function. I'll create my function, so directly it will come here my function. Okay, and just this is their function. Now what happened, we have just defined only, we are calling the function, right? Now what you can do, you can write the script. Okay, in the script you have to define the function. So function, whenever you will come to that, also when you are going to create the function, you have to write function. What is the function name? I have given my function. Okay, same way method. Okay, opening and closing brace, and here you are going to give alert. Okay, alert, and you can give between that I am an alert box, and give the semicolon and save this program. Just hold on, let's jam to run. So when the local host my web will not get anything because the server is not running. Might be when you open some website, the site cannot reach error. That means the particular website is not running. Okay, so we have to start. You have to wait until this port doesn't say that yes, port is started, and it should get changed into the green color. Now if you hit, you can see that website is loading, and our file name is my.js. Sorry, so my.js dot html. See, it's very small button is there. We have to change the button size. You can see here I have created a button over here. We have not added any functionality here. I just click on this, it is giving alert. See, and an alert box. So until if you not click OK, you cannot click anywhere on the screen. This is how actually your JavaScript will be added in your application.